Ambassador Lee Min-jun sat quietly in the great chamber of Harmony Prime. Around him, representatives from dozens of alien species argued loudly. Their voices echoed off the crystal walls as panic filled the room. The Zephyrian Empire had struck again. 3 peaceful worlds now burned under their cruel rule. Millions of innocent people were dead or enslaved. The galaxy's most feared military force had shown no mercy. "We must attack immediately," roared Commander Zoctel of the Korvaxi. His red skin glowed brighter with anger. "Every day we wait, more innocents die." The ethereal Wispara floated near the ceiling, her translucent form shimmering with distress. "Violence only creates more violence. We must find another way." 1. Min-jun listened to both sides. For 50 years, humans had served as mediators in the Galactic Council. They had prevented 17 wars through careful negotiation. Other species respected their diplomatic immunity and trusted their judgment. "What do the humans suggest?" asked Chancellor Morden, the elderly leader of the council. Min-jun stood slowly. His calm presence seemed to quiet the room. "We propose opening direct communication with the Zephyrian Empire. Perhaps we can negotiate the release of prisoners and establish safe zones for civilians." Many representatives shook their heads or made sounds of doubt. The Zephyrians had never shown interest in peace talks before. But humans had succeeded where others failed many times. "You truly believe they will listen?" asked Wispara hopefully. "Everyone deserves a chance to choose peace," Min-jun replied with a gentle smile. "We will try patience before anything else." Far from the council chambers, Captain Park Ji-woo received new orders aboard his ship. The Patience. The vessel looked like a typical human exploration craft. White hull, medical symbols, peaceful design. His crew prepared for what they believed was a humanitarian mission. "We're heading to the Zephyrian border," Park announced to his officers. Navigator Kim So-young nodded as she plotted their course. Engineer Choi Dae-hyun checked their supplies of medical equipment and food. "Another rescue operation?" So-young asked. "Something like that," Park replied quietly. He had served in the human fleet for 20 years. He knew there was always more to their missions than appeared on the surface. On the conquered world of Kelvara, Commander Thexkar of the Zephyrian military walked through the smoking ruins of a city. His soldiers dragged survivors from hiding places. Some would become slaves. Others would die for entertainment. Thexkar enjoyed the fear in their eyes. He had commanded the conquest of 12 worlds and killed millions personally. The galaxy trembled at mention of his name. A young officer approached him nervously. "Sir, we received a diplomatic message from the human government. They want to discuss prisoner releases." Thexkar laughed, a harsh sound that echoed off broken buildings. "Humans. Those weak creatures who cry over single deaths. Tell them to send their diplomats. I will enjoy showing them what real power looks like." He had heard stories about humans. They were soft-hearted beings who spent their time helping others. They built hospitals instead of weapons. They negotiated instead of fighting. Perfect victims for the Zephyrian way of life. Back on Harmony Prime, Min-jun met privately with Wispara in her meditation chamber. The ethereal's form glowed softly in the dim light. "Your species continues to amaze me," she said with wonder. "Humans feel such pain for strangers across the galaxy. Yet you never resort to violence. You seek understanding even with the most cruel enemies. We learned long ago that violence should be the last choice." Min-jun answered. "We prefer patience. Time often reveals better solutions than force." Wispara's glow brightened with admiration. "You are what we all hope to become. True peacekeepers who rise above primitive instincts." Min-jun smiled sadly but said nothing more. Some truths were not ready to be spoken. Across the galaxy, human ships began moving toward Zephyrian space. To outside observers, they appeared to be normal civilian vessels conducting routine missions. trade ships carrying supplies, medical vessels offering aid, research ships studying distant stars. The Zephyrians paid no attention to them. Humans were harmless. They posed no military threat. Their small ships looked like easy targets if anyone wanted to practice gunnery. On Kelvara, Thexkar received reports about human ships in nearby systems. He ordered his forces to ignore them completely. Let the humans come with their medicine and their tears. Maybe watching us work will teach them how the real galaxy operates. He decided to send a message of his own. 1,000 prisoners were dragged to the city center. Thexkar personally executed them while his soldiers recorded everything. The footage was broadcast across local space. "Tell the humans this is my response to their interference," he announced to the cameras. "This is what happens when weaklings try to challenge the strong." The recording reached the patients within hours. Captain Park watched it with his senior officers. Their faces showed no emotion as prisoners died on the screen. "Send this to command immediately," Park ordered quietly. "Full encryption." The footage also reached the council chambers during an emergency session. Representatives gasped and cried out in horror as the executions played before them. Several had to leave the room. Minjun watched the entire recording without changing expression. When it ended, he stood slowly. "I see," he said simply. "Thank you for clarifying your position, Commander Thexkar. What will humanity do now?" asked Wispara, her voice trembling with grief. Minjun looked around the chamber at the shocked faces of galactic leaders. His smile remained gentle, but something cold flickered behind his eyes. "We will continue to try patience," he said calmly. "We always give every possible chance for peace." But as he spoke, secure messages were already flowing through hidden human communication networks. Ships that looked peaceful began changing course slightly. Crews who seemed like civilian volunteers checked equipment that definitely was not medical supplies. "After all," Minjun continued, his voice still perfectly calm, "everyone deserves the opportunity to choose their path. Commander Thexkar has made his choice very clear. The galaxy still believed humans were natural peacekeepers. They had no idea that peace and patience could be the luxury of apex predators who simply preferred not to hunt unless absolutely necessary. The hunt was about to begin. News of the mass execution spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Every major news network showed the footage of Commander Thexkar killing innocent prisoners. Galactic leaders condemned the act, but their words felt empty against such brutality. The Korvaxi military held emergency meetings. Their generals studied battle plans and counted ships. Even with their powerful fleet, they could not defeat the entire Zephyrian Empire alone. Too many worlds would burn before victory came. Other species felt helpless. The Zephyrians had the largest military force in known space. Their weapons were advanced. Their soldiers showed no mercy. Most importantly, they seemed to enjoy causing pain. On Kelvara, a young resistance fighter named Xanthara hid in the ruins of her former school. She had watched Zephyrian soldiers use children for target practice. She had seen them burn hospitals for entertainment. Her beautiful world had become a nightmare. Through broken windows, she spotted something unusual. A small shuttle landed quietly behind the destroyed library. It bore human medical symbols and looked completely peaceful. 3 figures in white uniforms emerged, carrying medical supplies. Xanthara approached carefully. Her people had heard about humans, the gentle species that helped others without asking for anything in return. Perhaps they could treat some of the wounded hiding in the basement. Dr. Han Yujin looked up as she approached. His face was kind, but his movements seemed strangely precise. Behind him, his assistants worked with perfect efficiency to set up a field hospital. "We can help your people," Han said in accented Kelvaran. "Bring us the wounded. We have supplies." As Xanthara led injured civilians to the humans, she noticed something odd. The medical team worked faster than seemed possible. Their hands never shook. Their voices never showed stress. They moved like machines, designed for healing. A Zephyrian patrol appeared around the corner. Zanthara expected the humans to panic or run. Instead, Dr. Han continued bandaging a child's arm without even looking up. "Control. This is Medical Unit 7. He spoke calmly into a small device. "We have confirmation of Category 7 violations. Targeting of civilians, murder of children, torture of medical personnel." His voice stayed perfectly steady as he listed the horrors they had witnessed. There was no anger or fear, just cold documentation. "Please log the following. The Zephyrian Empire has chosen to demonstrate their true nature to human observers." The patrol noticed them and shouted warnings. Dr. Han finished his patient's treatment before slowly turning around. He showed his medical credentials and explained they were treating wounded civilians. The Zephyrian soldiers laughed and pointed weapons at them. One grabbed the injured child Han had just healed. Dr. Han stepped forward, with his hands raised. "We are protected medical personnel under galactic law," he said quietly. "Your law means nothing here." The soldier snarled, striking the child. Dr. Han watched this happen with no change in expression. He simply spoke into his device again. Additional confirmation received. Medical personnel targeted. Child abuse witnessed and recorded. Something in his tone made Zanthara shiver. Meanwhile, Captain Park received reports from across Zephyrian space. Every human ship had similar stories: systematic genocide, torture chambers, biological weapons tested on prisoners. Each report was carefully documented with precise details. The data flowed to human command centers throughout the galaxy. Military analysts studied the information with scientific precision. They noted patrol patterns, identified command structures, and mapped every Zephyrian facility. At the Galactic Council, Ambassador Minjun presented the evidence in another emergency session. Holographic displays showed Zephyrian war crimes in horrible detail. Council members wept openly at the footage. "This is beyond any acceptable behavior," declared the ethereal representative. "Surely now you will support military action?" Minjun shook his head slowly. "We still believe in the power of negotiation. Humans always try to solve problems peacefully first." The Korvaxi representative slammed his fist on the table. "How can you still seek peace after seeing this?" Korvaxi repeated. "I one hast infated." "Because," Minjun replied gently, "once we abandon peaceful solutions, there may be no way back." His words satisfied the council. Humans were truly the most moral species in the galaxy. Even facing ultimate evil, they refused to abandon their principles. But in a secret facility, deep in the Centauri system, Admiral Song Hae-won reviewed very different reports. Tactical assessments flowed across her screens. Ship positions, weapon readiness, supply status. All human civilian assets had been quietly moved away from Zephyrian space. A coded transmission arrived with priority encryption. Song read it twice before entering her authorization codes. Around her, staff officers waited silently. "Signal all commands," she ordered. "Operation Patient Strike is authorized for standby status." Young technicians began typing rapidly. Across human space, hidden military bases received the same message. Ships that looked like cargo haulers powered up weapons systems that should not exist. Crews that seemed like civilian volunteers revealed their true training. On Earth, President Yu Subin watched news reports of Zephyrian atrocities. Her advisors sat around the conference table in silence. The footage was too horrible for words. "Madam President," her military chief said quietly, "all human civilians have been evacuated from the target zone. All humanitarian assets are clear." Yu Subin nodded once. She looked at a photo on her desk. Her granddaughter smiling in a school playground, surrounded by children of many alien species. "Send the authorization," she said. Back at the council chambers, Minjun received an urgent message during the session. He read it carefully, his face showing nothing. Then, he stood to address the assembly. I regret to inform the Council that the Zephyrian Empire has rejected all diplomatic overtures, he announced. They have also chosen to target clearly marked human medical personnel. What will humanity do? Asked Wispera, her voice full of hope and fear. Min-Jun looked around the chamber. For 50 years, he had worn the mask of a peaceful diplomat. Now, for just a moment, that mask slipped. We tried patience, he said, his voice still calm but somehow different. We tried mercy. We gave them every opportunity to choose a different path. He paused, and when he continued, something cold had entered his tone. Now, they will learn why Earth is still here, after surviving 4 billion years of evolution. The words hung in the air like a threat. For the first time, galactic leaders wondered if they truly understood humanity at all. In the silence that followed, Min-Jun smiled his familiar gentle smile. But now, it looked different. Now it looked like the expression of something that had been patient for a very long time, and was finally done waiting. Admiral Song Hae-won stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Remember Them. Through the viewports, empty space suddenly filled with ships. Hundreds of vessels materialized as their stealth systems deactivated. The human defense fleet had been hiding in plain sight for months. These were not the peaceful exploration ships the galaxy knew about. These vessels were built for one purpose: war. Their hulls were black metal, covered in weapon systems. Their designs spoke of death and precision. All call signs: "This is Fleet Command." Song broadcast across encrypted channels. Operation Patient Strike is now active. Remember, they chose this path when they killed our medical teams. Across the fleet, human officers acknowledged the orders. They had been preparing for this moment for decades. Every ship knew its target. Every crew understood the mission. Complete elimination of the Zephyrian threat. Captain Park watched his ship transform around him. The Patience shed its peaceful appearance, like a snake shedding skin. Hidden armor plates slid into position. Weapon systems emerged from concealed bays. Medical symbols disappeared, replaced by military markings. His crew revealed their true nature as well. Navigator Kim So-young had actually commanded targeting systems for 5 years. Engineer Choi Dae-hyun had designed destroyer weapons before joining this mission. Target analysis complete, sir, Kim reported. Her voice was completely professional now. All Zephyrian command ships identified and marked for elimination. Weapons ready, added Choi. We have firing solutions on all priority targets. For months, human ships had been conducting humanitarian missions throughout Zephyrian space. The galaxy thought they were delivering medical supplies and documenting war crimes. They were actually mapping every enemy facility and recording patrol patterns. Every Zephyrian commander had been observed and catalogued. Every supply line had been traced. Every weapon depot had been marked for destruction. The humans knew exactly where to strike. On the council station, Ambassador Min-Jun continued diplomatic negotiations with Zephyrian representatives. The enemy leaders appeared via hologram, laughing at human weakness and demanding the council's surrender to their power. Humans talk too much, sneered General Vextar, Thexkar's superior. Words are for weaklings. Power comes from strength. Min-Jun nodded politely while human forces moved into final positions. At that moment, Zephyrian ships across the galaxy began exploding. Commander Thexkar was reviewing execution schedules when his communication array went silent. Through his command center windows, he saw human vessels emerging from what looked like empty space. They moved like hunting predators, smooth, silent, absolutely deadly. Impossible, he whispered. Humans are pacifists. They have no military. His weapons officer tried to return fire. But their targeting systems were being jammed by technology beyond Zephyrian understanding. Their communications were dead. Their sensors showed nothing but static. Lieutenant Jungmin Seo aboard the destroyer, final warning, watched her targeting display light up with enemy contacts. Sir, we have confirmed locks on all Zephyrian command vessels in this sector. Her captain, Baik Tae-wan, studied the tactical situation. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. Fire when ready. Make it clean. The human attack was unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. There were no massive space battles with ships trading fire for hours. There was no dramatic music or heroic speeches. It was pure, surgical precision. Human weapons struck with impossible accuracy. Every shot had been calculated months in advance. Command ships exploded while their escorts still tried to understand what was happening. Supply depots vanished in controlled explosions. Communication centers went silent. The Zephyrians tried to fight back, but they were completely outmatched. Their commanders were dead before they could issue orders. Their supply lines were severed before they knew they were under attack. Their weapons could not lock onto human ships that seemed to bend space itself. On Kelvara, Xanthara watched human marines land near the capital city. These were not the gentle medical teams she had met before. These soldiers moved like death itself. Silent, coordinated, lethal beyond imagination. Commander Ryu Jae-min led his squad through Zephyrian defensive positions without making a sound. Enemy sentries died before they could raise alarms. Weapon emplacements exploded without warning. The liberation of Kelvara was happening with clockwork precision. Dr. Han Yu-jin appeared again, but now he wore military insignia alongside his medical symbols. Xanthara stared at him in confusion. Medical Corps, Special Operations Division, he explained calmly. We document war crimes and treat victims. But we also mark targets for our hunters. Hunters? Xanthara asked. Han pointed toward the sky, where Zephyrian ships were falling like burning stars. The galaxy thinks humans are peaceful. We are peaceful. But we are also the most successful predators our planet ever produced. We simply prefer to hunt only when necessary. Back on the Council Station, other galactic races watched in shock as reports flooded their communication systems. The Zephyrian Empire, a force that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries, was being systematically destroyed in a matter of hours. How is this possible? Demanded the Korvaxi representative. Where did humans get such military power? Ambassador Min Jun finally dropped his diplomatic mask completely. His gentle expression vanished, replaced by something cold and calculating. We have been watching them for 50 years. Every atrocity, every murder, every act of cruelty against innocent life. You have been planning this war for decades. No, Min Jun corrected, his voice now sharp as a blade. We have been planning their complete destruction since the first day they killed innocents. We gave them 50 years to change their ways. They chose not to. The council chamber fell silent as the implications hit them. Humans had not been peaceful observers. They had been apex predators studying their prey, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Admiral Song's voice echoed across all human fleet channels. All units. Phase 2 is authorized. Time to show them why humans survived, when the dinosaurs did not. Across Zephyrian space, the second wave of attacks began. Every remaining enemy facility exploded simultaneously. The coordination required perfect timing across thousands of light years. No known technology could manage such precision, but humans had technologies the galaxy never suspected. While other species explored space, humanity had been preparing for the day someone would threaten innocent life on a galactic scale. The Zephyrian Empire was not being defeated. It was being erased from existence with surgical perfection, and the rest of the galaxy was finally beginning to understand what humanity really was. Not peacekeepers who happened to be capable of violence, but perfect killers who chose to be peaceful until someone forced their hand. The Zephyrian Empire's collapse accelerated beyond all galactic predictions. What had taken them centuries to build was crumbling in days under human precision strikes. Military leaders who had terrorized worlds for decades were dying in their sleep, poisoned by servants they never suspected were human agents. Captain Lee Sujin of the stealth ship Silent Vengeance briefed her crew on their next target. Zephyrian Admiral Crix Moore believes he is safe in his Fortress Moon. He does not know we have been watching him for 30 years. She displayed detailed intelligence on the enemy commander. His daily routines, his favorite foods, his security weaknesses, everything had been documented by human observers, posing as traitors and diplomats. The Admiral drinks Terran coffee every morning at exactly 0800 hours, Sujin continued. He has been drinking poisoned coffee for the past 3 days. He will die during this morning's staff meeting. Her crew nodded silently. This was not warfare as other species understood it. This was extermination carried out with scientific precision. No Zephyrian leader would survive to rebuild their empire. The systematic nature of human military action terrified other galactic races more than any display of raw power. Humans did not just defeat their enemies. They completely erased them from existence. Command structures vanished overnight. Supply networks disappeared without trace. Even the memory of Zephyrian military might was being deleted. On liberated Kelvara, resistance fighter Xanthara worked alongside human reconstruction teams. She noticed they sorted captured Zephyrians with careful precision. Officers and political leaders were executed immediately. Regular soldiers who surrendered were treated with professional courtesy. How do you decide who lives and who dies? She asked Commander Ryu Jaemin. Ryu showed her a tablet displaying detailed files on every Zephyrian they encountered. Photos, service records, documented actions. The humans had compiled perfect intelligence on their enemies. The leaders chose evil, he explained simply. They gave orders to torture children and murder innocents. The regular soldiers just followed orders to survive. The difference matters. Close. The regular internals say, "You have files on everyone? We have been watching for 50 years. We know which ones are truly dangerous, and which ones were just afraid." End quote. This level of detailed intelligence shocked even experienced military leaders. Humans had not just prepared for war, they had prepared for perfect justice. Every enemy would face exactly the punishment they deserved, no more and no less. The Galactic Council held another emergency session as reports of human capabilities continued flooding in. Ambassador Min Jun presented evidence that left the assembled representatives speechless. Humans had been infiltrating every major galactic power for decades. "You have been spying on us all?" gasped the ethereal representative. "We have been protecting you all," Min Jun corrected. "Those 17 wars we prevented through diplomacy? Each one could have been ended in hours if we had chosen military action instead. The implications were staggering. Every galactic power existed only because humanity allowed it. Species that considered themselves mighty civilizations realized they were children playing under the watchful eyes of apex predators. Footage emerged of human operations throughout the galaxy. The peaceful trade missions that had mapped military installations. The cultural exchanges that identified potential threats. The medical missions that documented war crimes while marking targets for elimination. "Why did you never tell us?" asked the Korvaxi representative. "Because you were not ready to know," Min Jun replied. The galaxy needed to believe in peaceful solutions. It needed to develop beyond its primitive instincts. We encouraged that growth by example. Admiral Song broadcast a message to all remaining Zephyrian forces. "This is Admiral Song, Hey 1, of the Human Defense Fleet. Your empire is finished. Your leaders are dead. You have one choice now: surrender and face justice for your crimes, or join your commanders in death." The response came from General Vextar, broadcasting from his heavily defended command station. "Humans are still weak. We have weapons you cannot imagine. We will kill every human civilian in the galaxy." Song's reply was transmitted across all galactic communication networks. General Vextar, you misunderstand our nature completely. We did not become apex predators by being weak. We survived 4 billion years of evolution by being perfect hunters, and now you have made yourselves our prey. The human response was swift and final. Every Zephyrian military installation across the galaxy exploded simultaneously. The coordination required communication networks beyond anything other species possessed. It was impossible by all known galactic technology. Dr. Shin Hae-won, revealed as the head of human intelligence operations, explained to the shocked council. We developed quantum communication networks 2 centuries ago. While other species explored local space, we prepared for threats to innocent life on a galactic scale. Commander Thexkar made his final stand in the ruins of Kelvara's capital. Surrounded by human forces, he finally understood what his species had awakened. The gentle humans he had mocked were something far more dangerous than any conventional military. You are not peacekeepers, he said to Colonel Park Sung-ho as human soldiers closed in. You are not even warriors. You are something else entirely. Park approached slowly, his weapon ready but not aimed. We are what happens when a species survives every extinction event their planet could produce. We learned patience because impatience leads to death. We learned mercy because cruelty wastes resources. But we never forgot how to eliminate threats. Then why did you wait so long? Because, Park replied, we hoped you would change. We gave you 50 years to become something better. You chose to become worse. Instead, the Zephyrian Empire's final transmission came from General Vextar's desperate voice. Please, we surrender. We will change. Give us another chance. Ambassador Min Jun's response echoed across every communication channel in the galaxy. You had 50 years to change. You had countless opportunities to choose mercy over cruelty. You chose to torture children and murder innocents instead. Now, you face the consequences of mistaking our patience for weakness. By the end of the day, the Zephyrian Empire ceased to exist. Not defeated in glorious battle, but clinically removed from the universe, like a cancer. Their military was destroyed, their leadership eliminated, their threat to innocent life permanently erased. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as human ships calmly returned to their regular patrol duties. The most efficient military operation in galactic history was conducted with such casual precision that it seemed almost routine. Other species began to understand the truth. Humans were not warriors who learned to be peaceful. They were perfect killers who chose to be protectors instead. The difference would reshape every relationship in the galaxy. 3 weeks after the Zephyrian Empire's complete elimination, the galaxy struggled to understand what it had witnessed. Human ships quietly returned to their normal duties as if the systematic destruction of a galactic superpower was just another day's work. On liberated Kelvara, Xanthara worked alongside human reconstruction teams led by engineer Choi Dae-hyun. These were the same humans who had erased an empire from existence, now carefully rebuilding hospitals and schools with the same precision they had used to eliminate threats. How can you change so easily between destroyer and healer? She asked Dr. Han Yujin as he treated wounded civilians. Han carefully bandaged a young Zephyrian child, one of the few survivors from their military families. We do not change. We are always both. Healing and destroying are part of the same instinct to protect innocent life. The child looked up at him with fearful eyes. Han smiled gently and offered a piece of candy from his medical kit. You are safe now. No one will hurt you again. The Galactic Council convened its first session since the war's end. Every representative stared at Ambassador Min Jun with new understanding. The quiet diplomat who had spent decades preventing conflicts had simultaneously been preparing for the most efficient war in galactic history. The galaxy owes humanity a great debt, began the Korvaxi representative. You saved us all from the Zephyrian threat. Min Jun shook his head politely. We protected innocent beings from those who would harm them, That is not heroism. That is simply responsibility. Wisp Ara, the ethereal representative, asked the question haunting every species. Ambassador, how long have humans possessed this level of military capability? Since before we reached the stars, Minjun answered honestly. Humans have always been apex predators. We simply chose to be very selective about our prey. The truth sent shockwaves through the galactic community. While other species had developed space travel for exploration or conquest, humans had weaponized it for protection on a scale no one imagined possible. Admiral Song released previously classified footage showing human military development over the past century. While publicly building exploration vessels and peaceful colonies, humans had secretly created the most advanced military force in galactic history. Every peaceful human settlement included hidden weapons manufacturing. Every scientific research station served dual military purposes. Every diplomatic mission had gathered intelligence for potential future conflicts. Captain Park addressed the Council directly. We learned from our planet's history. The deadliest predators are not the loudest or most aggressive ones. They are the patient hunters who study their prey completely before striking with perfect precision. The galaxy discovered that humans had been protecting them in ways they never suspected. Those 17 wars prevented through diplomatic negotiation would have been won instantly if humans had chosen violence over patience. Species that considered themselves galactic powers realized they existed only because humanity allowed it. The Korvaxi's mighty fleet, the Ethereal's advanced technology, the Council's political authority, APES, all existed under the protection of apex predators who preferred peaceful solutions. President Yu Subin addressed the galaxy from Earth in a broadcast watched by trillions of beings. For 50 years, we watched and waited. We hoped the galaxy would evolve beyond cruelty and conquest. Many species did grow beyond their violent pasts. Others, like the Zephyrians, proved they could not change. She paused, looking directly into the camera. We gave them every opportunity to choose differently. They chose to torture children and murder innocents instead. That choice sealed their fate. The broadcast revealed the true scope of human patience. They had documented every Zephyrian atrocity for half a century while maintaining diplomatic relations. They had watched millions die while hoping their killers would eventually choose mercy. Former Zephyrian territories were distributed among refugee populations and liberated species. Humans claimed no worlds for themselves, taking only the assurance that the threat was permanently removed. Do you not want their planets? Asked a Korvaxi admiral, confused by human restraint. Colonel Park Sung-ho, overseeing reconstruction efforts, explained, "We never wanted their territory. We wanted their threat to innocent life eliminated. Mission accomplished." This puzzled many species who expected conquest to follow victory. But humans had not fought for resources or power. They had simply removed a cancer from the galactic body with surgical precision. The story concluded with Ambassador Min Jun presenting new galactic security protocols to the Council. The Galactic Protection Treaty established clear boundaries that could never be crossed. Any species that targets civilians, commits genocide, or systematically tortures innocents will face immediate and complete elimination, he announced. No negotiations. No second chances. No mercy for those who show none to others. But who will enforce this treaty? Asked a nervous representative. Minjun smiled, the same gentle expression he had worn for 50 years of diplomatic service. The same species that has been enforcing galactic peace all along. The one you thought were natural pacifists. On rebuilt Kelvara, Xanthara watched human children playing with alien children in newly constructed parks. These young humans laughed and shared toys, showing the same compassion their parents had displayed before systematically destroying an empire. She finally understood the truth about humanity. They were not peaceful, despite being capable of perfect destruction. They were capable of perfect destruction precisely because they cared so deeply about peace. The galaxy had learned that patience was not weakness. Patience was the luxury of apex predators who knew they could end any threat whenever they chose to do so. Humans had been patient with the Zephyrians for 50 years, not because they could not destroy them, but because they desperately hoped they would not need to. In the final scene, Dr. Han Yujin treated the last Zephyrian war criminal in a medical facility. Even after everything, humans healed their former enemies before trial. But the criminal knew he faced justice for genocide, with human documented evidence ensuring no escape. "Why do you heal me when you plan to execute me?" the prisoner asked. Dr. Han adjusted the criminal's medical equipment with gentle precision. "Because healing is what separates us from what you were. We destroy threats to protect innocent life. You destroyed innocent life to satisfy cruelty." He finished his work and prepared to leave. At the door, he turned back one final time. "That difference is why your empire is extinct, and why humanity is still here after 4 billion years of evolution. We remember that every life has value, even yours. But we also remember that some lives choose to threaten all others. When that happens, the choice becomes very simple." The galaxy had finally learned what humans truly were, not warriors who became peaceful, but perfect guardians who preferred patience until forced to show their true nature. The universe was safer now, protected by beings who understood both the value of mercy and the necessity of absolute justice. Humanity's long watch continued, patient and vigilant as always.